All right, so the season finale of Hawkeye has been released. I've watched it. In my very first video of this series, I asked the question, does this show suck? I'm getting ready to tell you what I think about this episode and about the season in a whole. I'm really excited about it, and I want to talk about it. Some good coffee. All right, welcome back to the DLJones show. I'm your host, DLJones, and if this is your first time visiting this channel, I talk about all types of movies, TV shows, all types of things. I like to talk about a lot of different things I like to watch on TV and in theaters and all of that kind of stuff. I even dabble in video games and books and stuff like that. But thank you for showing up, and right now I'm going to be talking about what I thought about episode 6 of Hawkeye, the Marvel Disney Plus series Hawkeye. Episode 6 came out, which was the final episode. Before I get into the episode, I'm just going to have to tell you, I really enjoyed this series. I really enjoyed Hawkeye. I have to say right now, out of all of the Disney Plus Marvel shows, Hawkeye is by far my favorite. I've had the most fun with Hawkeye than any other show. I mean, I've had some fun with other shows, and I don't think any of the other shows were bad. And, you know, I've liked them all, you know, but Hawkeye, I have enjoyed this more than all of them so far by a good margin. You know, I'm not going to do a scene by scene recap. This is just going to be my overall, you know, just a general summary of what happened in this episode, what I thought about it and everything like that. There will be spoilers. I will try not to spoil it enough to where it will ruin if you haven't seen the episode yet, but there will be spoilers, just warning you that up front. All right, so this episode was basically just one long action set piece, and it was pretty awesome. I mean, not just in one location. It was just a long action set piece. It was just basically one task, and that task is that you know, as we find out at the end of the last episode, we find out that Eleanor, you know, Kate Bishop's mother, was the one that ordered the hit on Hawkeye. And we saw the video, which was the super reveal of the last episode of Kingpin. And that's when Eleanor had met with Kingpin, and the pictures in the video was sent to Kate Bishop. So this episode starts off with them checking out that video. They actually show you what that video was about, show you what it is. Before it was just a picture, but this episode starts off with them showing the video. And basically what this video is Eleanor was meeting with Kingpin to tell her that she was out of the business. It looks like her father, Kate Bishop's father, Eleanor's husband, had owed some money, you know, owed a bunch of money to Kingpin. So she was doing things, you know, underhanded things, working with Kingpin all of this time to, you know, pay off those debts or whatever. And now, since the Kate Bishop is getting too close to everything, she wants out of it because she wants to keep her daughter safe. So that was when she met up with Kingpin to say she's out. So after that, they just come up with a plan because they knew right then and there that Kingpin was going to try to kill Eleanor. So they came up with a plan. They figured out when they thought it was going to happen. So they came up with a plan to go there and protect her, you know, because, you know, she's done some bad stuff in her life. You find out she was the one that actually killed the man in at the end of the first or second episode with the sword, that she had kind of framed the swordsman Jack as being the killer, but she was actually the killer. And they knew she was probably going to go to prison, but they wanted to protect her, to make sure that Kingpin doesn't have her killed, because they figured that was what was next. So they came up with a plan to go to this like dinner party, some event that she was holding, because they figured that was when it was going to happen. So their plan was to go there, protect her, and make sure that Kingpin's people don't kill her, you know. So they go there, and that's when the action starts. Everything just goes crazy. They make an attempt to kill her, but then Kazi, he's the one that tries to take the shot first, but he saw Clint Barton there first, so he starts trying to take a shot at Clint Barton. Everything just goes crazy. They're fighting their way out. The tracksuit mafia shows up, tons of them, and they're fighting their way through those. Yelena shows up. She still wants to kill Clint Barton, and she kind of meets up with Kate Bishop first, and they have a pretty good interaction with each other. They kind of fight a little bit. You can tell she don't really want to hurt Kate Bishop's, And but Kate Bishop is like, she can't let her, you know, go through and try to kill Clint. So they kind of battle each other, Yelena's trying to go forward and Kate Bishop's trying to keep her back. They're talking, they have some really interesting interactions. I like the interaction between those two. I really hope that they kind of pair them two together in the future. Kate Bishop and Yelena, because I like their interaction. I like the banter between the two of them. And I kind of hope that they pair them two together. Maybe those two could be the new friends, like in the first Avengers, like in Avengers up until before Natasha died. Clint and Natasha were the two that was kind of like, they were the buddies. They were friends. They was kind of paired up a lot of times and doing stuff. Maybe going forward, Yelena and the new Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, will be the two. Because I really like those two together on scene. Every time they're on the screen together, I enjoyed it, you know. But yeah, but that happens. And it just goes crazy. I'm not going to get into all of everything that happened. Echo gets involved, which she don't get involved to the end. But yeah, it's really a lot of action. They end up in the middle of, you know, the scene that you see in the trailers where they're in the middle of Rockefeller Center with the Christmas tree on their ice skating ring and all of that kind of stuff, fighting tons of tracksuit mafia guys. And it gets to a point where Yelena does duke it out with Clint. Them two end up by themselves and they're fighting. And then, of course, at the end, Yelena kind of gets the best of him, which he isn't really trying to get the best of her. He's trying to defend himself and explain to her that, you know, that he didn't kill Natasha. Natasha was his friend and all of this stuff. She don't believe him. So they fight, and she gets to a point where she has him down and she has him beat, and he does like a little secret whistle, you know, and I don't remember this whistle from the past. I guess it might have been something that happened in past Avengers movies, or maybe in the Black Widow movie that I didn't pay attention to, but Clint Barton does this whistle, and the whistle was a secret whistle between Yelena and Natasha. And that's when she was like, wait a minute, how do you know that whistle? And then that's when she starts listening. And that's when she realized, you know, maybe he didn't kill her, you know, and she started listening to him and everything. And that was a pretty good scene. That was a pretty good scene. And they kind of like made peace with each other at the end of that scene. And then it goes to Kate Bishop. Kingpin shows up, and Kingpin, you know, he's a monster. You know, I don't remember him. He took an arrow to the chest and just broke it off and kept coming. But basically, Kate Bishop faced off against Kingpin by herself, and Kingpin was just wiping the floor with her. She ended up winning the fight at the end, but it was sort of like how Spider-Man wins a lot of fights when he fights people that's way overpowered than him. She kind of won it by outsmarting him, you know, and she kind of won the fight that way and protected her mother, which her mother still ended up going to jail and everything. But the kicker is at the end of the season, they lead you to believe that Echo. Let me back up for a minute. So at the end of the season, the police go in there. They're looking for Kingpin. Of course, Kingpin isn't there no more. The last we saw Kingpin, he was knocked out, laying in the middle of the floor. He was blown up in a bunch of exploding arrows and stuff, and we thought he was out for the count. But by the time the police showed up, he was nowhere to be found. And then they go down to an alley that was nearby where they were, and you see Kingpin walking through this alley, and Echo shows up. So Echo, you know, she already had a bout with Kazi. She ended up killing Kazi, you know. Kazi kind of was like, you know, I can't, you know, they all knew that she was kind of through with the organization and she was going her own way. And Kingpin had kind of ordered Kazi to either bring her back or kill her. And Kazi, you know, he's completely loyal to Kingpin and he didn't want to do it. So, but she wasn't going back. So he ended up having to try to kill Echo, which of course Echo killed him. And then she ended up facing off with Kingpin, you know, and it wasn't really a face off. It was just like Kingpin saw her and thought that she was coming to like give him a ride out of there, but she was actually there to kill him. She pulls out a gun and they show her lift the gun to his head, and then the camera zooms away and you hear a gunshot. So they want to make you think that she killed Kingpin, which we all know that that's not true. You know, she didn't kill Kingpin, but they don't show what happened. They just end the series making you think that that's what happened. Echo has a show coming out, you know, and I think it's already been rumored that Vincent D'Onofrio's character is going to be in Echo's show. So you know it's not the end of Kingpin. He's got more story to tell in these Disney Plus Marvel shows. That was the series. I said I wasn't going to go through a scene by scene. I didn't necessarily go through a scene by scene. I still left a few things out, but that was it. And I really enjoyed it. It was just like basically the whole show was basically once things started, once they got into that event, into that party and things started, the first shot went off by Kazi when he attempted to kill Clint Barton. Once that happened, that's when things just piled on, and it was just basically a survival action scene from that point to the end of the episode. And it ended kind of sweet because Clint Barton did make it home for Christmas. You know, he did make it home for Christmas. He brought Pizza Dog and Kate Bishop home, you know, and introduced her to his family, you know, and everything. And he handed his wife, Laura, the watch. The watch was one of the things that he was trying to make sure he got back. On the back of the watch, there was a little emblem. I think that emblem is the Mockingbird emblem. There has been a rumor saying that Laura, Clint Barton's wife, was retired, but in her previous life, she was Mockingbird. Mockingbird is another Marvel character, another like spy type character, sort of like Hawkeye. But the rumor is that she is Mockingbird and she kind of retired and she's been kind of living. That's why they always live in these little places that's like off the grid and everything, because she's kind of like, you know, leaving that life behind. And that watch, I think, had information that would expose her, you know, so, and that's why he was trying to get that watch back. But yeah, it ended nicely. It ended with him making it home for Christmas and introducing Kate Bishop to everybody else. And then the part at the end that I thought was real sweet was Kate and Clint was talking, you know, and she was trying to come up with different names. What would be her name? She was like Lady Arrow and Lady Hawk and all of this stuff. And he kept saying, nah, that sounds horrible. That sounds horrible. Then it ends with him saying, I know what you should call yourself. And then it ends. He don't say it. But of course, we all know that she ends up just becoming Hawkeye. You know, because I guess he's kind of like, that was his way of saying, you're the new Hawkeye. I'm retired now. But it was a sweet little scene at the end, a nice little end cap to the whole series. And it was pretty good. You know, if you stayed and watched like I did, expected some kind of end credit scene, and there was an end credit scene, but it was just a whole musical number from the Rogers play. It was just, they did just show the whole musical number, which was interesting. I always wondered if they did film a whole number, if they filmed the whole song, and they did, and they showed it. You know, it was pretty interesting. I kind of skipped through it all. But yeah, that was it. Hawkeye episode 6. Season finale. I was pretty happy. I was pretty happy with this series. Like I said at the beginning, it was my favorite series. It was my favorite series so far of all of the Disney Plus Marvel shows. And I really enjoyed it. And that's it. My Spider-Man review will be coming soon. As a matter of fact, when it's done, you'll be able to find it right here. If not, there'll be another video there, but go ahead and check that out. This is Spider-Man No Way Home. Go ahead and check that out. I'm ready for some more Marvel stuff. I'm excited to get started for 2022. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.